Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel with me Karina Febriyanti. In this session, we will discuss a topic related to the material development, especially for material development procedures. So here there are several subtopics to be discussed, including the role of teaching materials, teachers, learners, and material relationship, characteristic of teaching materials, evaluation of textbook, evaluating textbook, and adapting materials. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, for the first one we have the role of teaching materials. So here, according to Patel and Yas, material development is a practical process that involves the production, evaluation, adaptation, and exploitation of material aimed to facilitate language acquisition and development. Materials should be able to facilitate the learners in studying and self-investigating by facilitating grasp of the topic and making them engage in learner-centered discovery activities and tasks. The teachers cannot do effective teaching without using any teaching materials. There are various kinds of teaching materials that can be used by the teacher in the classroom, including textbook, audio and video tapes, handouts, and charts, etc. Yet, the materials should be developed based on the student's competence level and interesting topics which can motivate the students to learn. Therefore, it is important to choose and design the appropriate materials based on the course content and syllabus. So that's about the role of teaching materials. For the next slide, we will have teachers, learners, and material relationship. So here, material is an important and useful tool for the student and teacher. The effectiveness of material can be determined through the user and the tool itself. It means that when the material is being developed by the teacher, it needs an immense care in order to avoid also of ambiguity. To get an optimal result from the materials, the teacher should know how to adapt, enrich, and interpret the material used. In designing the tasks for the class session, the teacher should pay attention on the relevance, authenticity, focus on process, assessment, feasibility, and learner's proficiency. So that's about the relationship between teachers, learners, and materials. So now we will continue to the characteristic of teaching materials. Okay, besides from textbook, there are some kinds of material that can be used by the teacher in the classroom. As you can see on the slide, there are several types of material based on Patel and Yale's theory. There are printed materials, audio materials, audiovisual, interactive teaching materials, and also authentic materials and created materials. For the example of the types of the materials you can see on the slide, you can pause the video and observe the example, and I will continue to explain the materials. Here, in producing and using the materials during the teaching and learning process in the classroom, there are two terms used, such as the teacher produced material and students materials. In teacher produced materials, the teacher creates their own worksheet for the students. Meanwhile, student produced materials are related on how the student designed a simple map or concept for the basis for an activity. The student can use their basic knowledge or personal background in producing the learning material for the classmates. So that's about the characteristic of the teaching materials. So now we will move to the evaluation of teaching materials. Material evaluation is a measurement activity of the value of set of learning materials. It can be done through judgment about how the material affects the people who use it. Material evaluation tries to measure the effect of the materials on the learners, the validity and flexibility, materials' ability to interest the learners, materials' potential learning value, and delivery and assessment. So that's about the teaching materials evaluation. So we move to the next session, which discuss about evaluating textbook. In evaluating textbook, there are 4 key questions that needs to be answered in order to decide whether it can be used in the class activity or not. As you can see on the slide, those are the 4 key questions that need to consider in evaluating the textbook. The first one, we have do the exercises and activities in the textbook contribute to the students' language acquisition. The second one is, are the exercises balanced in their format, containing both control and free practice. The third one, are the exercises progressive as the student moves through the textbook. The fourth one, are the exercises varied and challenging. So this question need to be answered in order to decide whether your material can be used in the class activity or not. So the next one, we have adapting materials. In order to provide good material for the students, teachers need to do material adaptation. This material adaptation can be in the form of changing the existing material to be more suitable and effective for the learners, teachers, and situations. Here, Tolimsan and Masuhara, as cited in Petal and Yas, suggest that the most effective way of conducting a material adaptation is to have a large number of categorized materials that the teacher can easily to choose for adaptation. We have the co-workers to share resources, give feedback, and can be asked to go through the adaptation process together. Then be in an environment where the evaluation, adaptation, and development of the materials are encouraged and the teacher time and effort are recognized. And the last one, we have review the adapted materials and improve it. So that's all about adapting materials. And now that's all about the presentations related to the material development, especially for material development procedures. So it can be concluded that materials that is appropriate for a particular class need to have an underlying instructional philosophy, approach, method, technique, which suit the students and their needs. So that's what can I conclude from my explanation earlier. So that's all about our session today. Thank you for joining my class and thank you for listening to my explanation. I'm sorry if I made some mistake or wrong pronunciation or unclear pronunciation. Nobody is perfect. Please forgive me. So I hope you stay healthy during this pandemic, and also I hope I can see you again in the next meeting. So for now, let's bid a farewell. So goodbye. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Have a nice day.